back to another episode of that really nice looking LSE that's been in my yard for a few episodes now. Enjoy it! And before we get down to it, can you check you're subscribed? Even if you think you are, please double check. If you're not subscribed, why ever not? How are you going to get content like this? All helps to promote the channel, you know. There's things like dingy bell, clicking, subscribing, comments, negative comments, positive comments, thumbs ups, thumbs down. Please help me out. If you want to contact me, it's churchhouseclassics, that's all one word, @gmail.com. There's only one of me. Please be patient. I will get back to you. If you want to support the channel, and every single donation is really gratefully received, and there's a PayPal me link scrolling at the bottom of the screen here. Please enjoy. Aha! So first and foremost, a little bit of inaccurate information earlier, in that this age of Range Rover, the front grille section, which you just get a plastic pry bar from the bottom there, comes with the cage already that the foam mesh sits in, which is good. That was easy. The second thing is, the customer had been aware that this job needed doing, so had been lubricating up the fixings. And the fixings are quite long. It's a good 2.5 centimetre screw there. Ben's just moving a bit of plant, that's helpful. Never mind, thanks Ben. And then, really by going in with something like that, which has got, it's quite a neat little tool, this one. You can get these all sorts all over the place, but the idea is that by rotating that, I can go into an undo mode, or I can use it like that. The little stubby screwdriver undid the screw on the left edge over here, and this undid the screw on the other end. So I managed to get it off for now. Now, because I cut that zip tie, I can then pull on the loom, the grommet comes out, and there you can see the red connector. Fantastic. You don't have to yank it, you don't have to pull it, you don't have to do anything with it, as long as that zip tie is no longer connected. And then the replacement part that's about to go on, so I'm doing this before I'm doing the heater, purely because I want to just confirm that this is working. It's a job then ticked off before I take the heater and everything out. So there's the replacement unit. It looks very much like that. So the connector's the same. It comes with a nice big heat sink, and you put it on that way around or that way around. I'll work out which way around it needs to go. Basically, it's probably going to need to go that way round, because it needs to sit on the original mount points, which are there. Can you see the mount points? I think you can, yes. So those are the original mount points that sit out from that bulkhead panel. Now what I might do here is I might change these screw fixings, because they're going to be an absolute bastard to get in, for a hex nut fixing. They're going to be something like an M3 or an M2, quite a small metric fixing, threaded. So it might just be easier if I've got a hex head on it, then I can put it in with a spanner, you see. Because it's going to be a lot easier working through that hole with a spanner than a flathead screwdriver, which will just slide off the fixing all the time, drive me up the wall. Yeah, so that's about that really. And these, it's a fairly widely available part, made by Brit Part, there we go. Heat up motor resistor, DA4178, which was, I think, the original part number for the original resistor, I don't know. It's available from pretty much everywhere. This one came from Rover Parts by the looks of things. Or maybe it is Rover Parts make these for Brit Part. Couldn't tell you. Anyway, it's going to go back in now. New resistor fitted into the loom, obviously not fixed into place yet. I just wanted to double check the damn thing works before it all gets fitted in, because if I'm going to spend half an hour fitting it, it would be nice to know that the thing works first and foremost. So ignition on, and we have resistor in off. 1, 2, 3. 2, 1, off. So 1, slow, slightly faster, super fast. That'll work, won't it? Right, okay, let's fit that now. And I still need to get the heating unit out, because as you've heard already, the fan was making noise. I think at this stage it would make sense to get that sorted out. I fear it might rain very shortly. I might go and have a cup of tea in a second. And there's the old resistor there. So it is looking quite, I mean, obviously I've been dragging it around. I have my finger over the lens that whole video. Here's the old unit. You can see here already that various bits of it have rotted right through and are falling apart. So I suspect that to be root cause. Bye! There you go. That's what it looks like when it's in. It was definitely a helpful thing to put. So what I did was I drilled out the original fixing. I put M4 riv nuts in there, and then I've been able to use an M4 bolt rather than the itchy fanny 5000 fixings that were in there already. Now, if I then, having done that, when the ignition on, ABS pump's going to kick in, I'm afraid, folks. It's been a while. Ignition on, and now interestingly the heater's not making any noises today. That's working beautifully. Right, so we've done that. Ignition can go off now. One job done. Fixed. Got the two heater hoses off the heater. Now if you've done this before, you'll know that they are a particular bastard to get to. The top one less so. The bottom one is wedged up hard against the back of the engine and the stub is just too long. Now it helps if you can get a blade in there to chop it like that. Obviously I had both hands in my pocket when I was cutting that, and then the other end came off no problems at all. The bottom hose, however, was somewhat of a bastard, because I don't know if that was glued on. It would rotate, but it just would not come off. So I ended up kind of cutting it, which is why it looks so jagged and so forth, and then just yanked the bastard thing out. And it did eventually concede. I'll replace those two hoses as a matter of course anyway. Little quick interlude in the middle of me popping all the dash back in. The lugs that hold panels like that and so forth in, there's an easy way to repair them, which I use frequently, more often than not. But it's actually so easy. I'm going to show you. And nice day today. June, coming up towards the middle. So there's your clue. There's the bit that broke off, that I poked all the way through. Tiny little pop rivet, fits down the middle. Glue it in place, chop the end off. Do you think that'll work? Oh yes. In fact, what we might be able to even do here is if I knock the shoulder off the pop rivet here, in a second when I'm working two-handed, I might get two of these. So that just drops in there, holds that on, dab a super glue or whatever, and you recreate that peg. Ah, so you're in the workshop then, are you? What are you doing in the workshop? Ah, right, air suspension reinstatement. It's always amusing to find out what the original root cause was. Now, if you're really lucky, it would have just been a burst bag, and if you're really unlucky, it will be something that someone else has not been able to identify. Now, there was no ECU in this car when it first arrived, so I plugged in one of my spare ECUs, which I believe has been working. I haven't got on the car to check it on right now, but it has been working. And I can't get the EAS unlock software to interface with it. So then I thought, well, I've got lumps of loom. In fact, I've got a complete EAS system up here. It's in a box over there. That box right there, there's a loom in that box for the complete setup. So what I'm inclined to do is have a look to see what's going on in the box underneath the car, where the compressor, where the pump and the valve block and everything are. Now there's a James light down here, just to give us a bit of visibility on what on earth is going. What the fuck? So someone has just been under here and they have absolutely blasted everything, I think, with an underseal. So I'm going to have to get the box off, get the box open, and work out what's going on in there. Fix that first, and then try my separate loom, because we don't know that the loom's not chopped as it goes through the floor, because it will go through under there. Yeah. And then you'll be thinking, what's all that shit all over James's lights? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's where someone has shutsed over the top of mud. Ah. Mud. Just... Someone must have been in a real fucking hurry to make the underside of this car look less muddy, is all I can say. Which is a shame, because it then means I kind of need to get it up to... Well, I'll talk to the customer first and foremost. But again, all of this, when I scope this is all just falling off, and then all underneath it is mud. It needs a steam clean underneath, and then probably just a retreatment of something better than stone guard over mud. Fucking bodges. Love them. Not. So you've undone the two fixings, or the four fixings there should be on each end. You've undone the pipe that goes into the pump from the filter. You've undone the two electrical connectors, which are here and here. Okay, and then you've undone all the pipes, which are here. Have we undone all the pipes? There's one trap there, I think. It's just got itself caught up. But ideally what you need is a nice little trolley or a big block of wood or a toolbox. Toolbox will probably work quite well. And you lower it onto that, and you can tilt it onto its side, then you can undo the fixings. And the fixings are this style of thing, where there's a kind of a plunger, and then a screw goes through the middle of it. There's one that's all still intact. They don't last very long. They really don't. But now that's all apart, I could take this out from under the car, because it's probably going to need overhauling. Well, it'll certainly need cleaning. And then I can continue. Now I've got the connectors off this, I can possibly even just pull the loom through the floor, because that's the bung for it there. And we'll work top side, because I've got a connector there that goes to the front sensors, and other connectors at the back end here that goes to the rear sensors. We'll see if the loom can stay intact for a start off, but certainly there's no reason why I can't connect this thing up to this box on here and see if I can't get life out of it. Well, that's that knock out. That's pretty crappy, isn't it? Don't know what more to say about that, if I'm honest. I think what I'll do, though, is I've got a couple of complete EAS. I've got a couple of complete air suspension looms here, with all of the ECU and everything on them. One of them came from a working vehicle. So I'm actually inclined, it's my first step, unplug the two connectors, plug my other loom in. Let's see if we can narrow down where the fault is, rather than going through all the diagnostics, because you just never know. You really can't tell. So the loom goes through the floor, here somewhere, there. There's a grommet under here. But with the engine ECU out of the way and these two connectors out of the way, I should get a better view of what's going on. So let me have a tidy up and see if we can just get a little bit closer to understanding what is going on with the loom. Okay, the ABS pump's buzzing away at the moment, but I plugged in one of the spare looms, complete, and connected it up to my box, and all of a sudden, well, everything's talking. So now I need to work backwards to find out what it might be on the original loom that's causing a problem. Else, I need to just unwrap the original loom from the car and put the replacement loom in. But that's encouraging, because before I wasn't getting that receive set up. Yeah, while I'm here, I'm also going to just check things like pump. So EAS Unlock software comes with, once it's communicating, comes with a nice pump on feature. Pump's on. So the thermal cutout on the pump is operational, which is good. And all I've done really is just plug the new loom straight into the old setup. And then the other thing I can do, faults will be related to the ECU, which hasn't come from this car, but I can read the faults and I can clear them. Nothing particularly nasty there. I can look at the heights and see if all of the sensors are sending a signal back. They won't be, because the loom's not connected to them. So just come back with generic settings, because there's the loom down there. Right, I think now I've got that to talk to the EAS Unlock software. I think the next thing is to try and work out what's failed, and if it is the loom, then we'll just have to replace it. Stop. Ignition off. Okay, the good news is that I can actually get EAS Unlock software installed just with the relays, but not with the box. So I don't need the box, don't need the level sensors in order to get EAS Unlock software work. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to plug the original loom back in with that ECU, and then start working through each of these relays, swapping them over, see if we can't get to the root cause of the problem. Right, scratch that last idea. I decided here to start with a known good point. So if we start with the system that has been working and then swap components over from the other system. The only component I swapped across is that, and all of a sudden the system's not working. So just to prove that, let's turn off, unplug this, working somewhat cack-handedly. Get off your... Plug the other one back in. Right, so I've plugged the other one back in. There's the customer's one. Ignition back on and initialize. That's working. So it looks like that was the fault with the original system. So I'm going to reinstate the original loom. And we'll see if it's just that. Well, I've got one, but that could be the faulty item. Original loom, one of my ECUs, white box from my donor loom, everything else as standard, and we're talking. So I'm wondering if the original fault, the reason why the EAS was removed from this system, was because of that pesky box there, which is labelled up as a Rover AMR 1111. I'll find out what that is. Fancy looking relay though, eh? So I've been swapping components around and about now on this working system. I'm just putting ticks against stuff I know works, just make my life a bit easier next time round. And what I have found, now we're back on the car loom, is that each of the sensors, each of the corner sensors, is giving me a reading. Which is good. We don't know whether they work across the entire range, but that will be, it's a good starting point. If I have to change a sensor on a corner, I have to change a sensor on a corner. But that's encouraging. I'm buoyed by this. So I think next I'm going to strip that chap down and start cleaning it up, because I'm getting good results now out of the electronics. It's all apart. Nothing particularly nasty apart from someone's been wading, I think. It's got a lot of mud and sediment at the bottom of this box here. Apart from it being covered in gloop on the front here, the rest of it didn't look too bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test each individual function. Now, this whole thing is going to come apart anyway, because I need to jet through all of the airways and so forth, remove the non-return valve at the end here. Sorry, non-return. There's three one-way valves at this end, and there's a non-return valve at this end. So I need to get all those sorted out. But each of these solenoids, 2 on the bottom, 5 on the top, control the inlet and the outlet. And there's a little solid state logic box on the back here that controls all of the solenoids. And then this is connected to the ECU via this. So in theory, what I could do is plug this into the loom and test individual functions. So I should be able to simulate a raising or lowering of the air suspension. And also, the other thing I wanted to do, and I just plugged this in and I thought, oh, do you know what, I'm going to test this out. So using the EAS software, which you can see I've already connected, I can go and I can click on pump on. When it puts the pump on, I put my finger over the outlet. That pump is putting out some reasonable pressure. I can turn it off. So I think the pump is good. So all I'm really going to do with that is clean it up. Protect it, clean it up and put it back together again. For the valve block, what you could potentially do within the software, excuse my boys gurning out the screen here, let's just maximise this. Maximise it will maximise. I can go to heights and I can go up and down on each of the sides here, and that should, in theory, make the solenoid click. So let's plug it in and see if that works. Might work, it might not. Let's just get the legs on the tripod extended. Don't know what you're looking at. What can you see? You're going to be looking at my arse in a minute, believe me. In fact, let's get the little dolly trolley over here, because these can stand on this. Get it a bit more away from the ground. Where's the other connector? Can't see the damn thing. There it is. Right, there's the other connector. So we can turn ignition off, plug in valve block into other connector, click. Right, that's in. Now, if I then get my little chair, this might work, this might not, I don't know. Ignition on. Laptop over here. So if I put my hand on the top here, oh, there's one click, click, click. Don't even need my hand on it, to be honest. They're all working. I can go to depressurize. So depressurize can use the exhaust solenoid. So depressurize springs. This is what you need to do before you start pulling pipes. Opened all 4 of them. You heard it? I have to wait 45 seconds now. So if I know the whole thing works, then really all I need to do is to clean it up, put the new seals in it, reinstate it. It gives me a fighting chance of knowing what the problem is. There we are, they've all opened a second time. It's all sort of behaving. And the only fault I found so far has been that big white oblong relay. I'll find the correct terminology for that and I shall insert it into the video right here. Right, there we are. That's done that. Now we can depressurise the tank, which now will be on the exhaust port, which I think is that one down there. Again, nice big hearty good clonk out of that. So I believe it's to all be working. That's encouraging, isn't it? Now, what I'm going to need to do is to use something to get this stone guard shit off the front here. Because there are markings on the front here which help you identify which port is which. And then obviously when you come to reassemble, etc. Right, just coming down to the end of this test, so we should hear it click again. There we are. So it opened and closed the solenoid, which is good. I think the reading all of the calibration settings is only going to pick up what's pre-programmed into the ECU. So that's unfortunately going to be utterly useless for us here. What I can do though is I can see what each of the sensors' height is. I don't know if you can see that. I'll do some screen grabs and show you roughly what it is that the EAS software is looking at. So far we've got a working pump which is putting out what seems to be reasonable pressure. We've got a valve block which is responding to commands from the ECU via the software. The only thing I haven't really checked is the buttons on the dashboard, but I'm not going to see an awful lot of that going on until we've got things like the receiver has reached the minimum pressure. So I think we can disconnect this now. That's disconnected. Shut down. And shut down, because we don't need this anymore. I'm happy enough with it. And we can go back to the bench and clean these buggers up. Grubby McGrub face. Given the valve block a darn good clean, as you can see it's looking decidedly fresher than it was. There's still some grub around the tops of the solenoid bodies, but I'm less bothered about that. What I'm really concentrating on now is getting each of these ports cleaned out. I've blown air right way through the system and I'm happy that there is no grit or contamination in there. And now it's just a case of fitting the new seals. And they come, so these all come from a company called X8R, and they come very helpfully bagged up with exactly what you need in the various bags. So for instance, I've got the 3 non-return valves here which go in that sort of order in these 3 holes here, and I get a little bag with the 3 seals that go on them. So I'm going to pop all of this stuff on. Might just clean some of this, because it's like a surface gasket, instant gasket kind of sealer that's on the face here. I've cleaned this side up nicely, as you can see. I need to do the same with that, and then that would then fix on there and be a nice snug fit, you'd like to think, wouldn't you? Once that's all in place, then I can move on to the next bit, and the next bit, and the next bit, and the next bit. So there's nothing particularly nasty about this. You just need to be methodical. You need to go step through a chunk at the time, not do too many things at the same time. So for instance, I shall just be working on these bastards, and I know that block goes that way up because the solenoid fixes on the top of it. In fact, the only thing I haven't done yet is blow this one through. So let's blow this one through. Right, get the chair out of the way. So all we really do here check the thread holes are bereft of. Yeah, I think that's all pretty clean in there. That'll do. That can go there. And then the seals on these, they just go on the tip. Probably need to clean my hands now. I've been grubbing around doing something else and I end up with shit all over my hands. Right, so let's get that bag of seals that I was just waving around just now, these ones here, and pop them on. Chance to lose them. Careful not to cut our hands off in the process. So Again, baking trays are the most useful thing you're going to have here. Ideally not a brand spanking new one. That bag's now empty. Go in the bin. Move the bin a bit closer to the workshop. Get on there, you bastard. Right, now, the other thing I tend to do with this is just the barest smear of Vaseline or whatever kind of lubricant you prefer. Just because it helps the seals into place. There's one. That goes in there. I get hold of the bloody thing. There's two. Goes in there. And here's number 3. Which goes into here. This one goes the other way round. I'll just double check the orientation of them against the picture that I grabbed on my phone not very long ago. Because even though you could do these things day in, day out, every bloody day, and still struggle with which way round they go. And that's a classic example of it. I've put them in the wrong way round. Silly arse. Right, so ignore that, folks. These go that way round, that way round, and that way round. Lesson number 1 as to why you take lots of pictures. And now you can see, I don't know if you can see, there's the picture. And that's what we've got. Next, I need the O-rings that go around the outside of the body here. And they're in this helpful bag here. Probably easy to put these in before I put those in, wouldn't it? Oh, fuck's sake, Richard. Absolute animal. Right, that goes in there. Goes in there. And there. And finally in there. They recess into the block, so you know you got it right because they recess in. This is not an instructional video, this is just kind of just an overview of how I do this shit. Right, then the barest smear of blue Hylamar and line everything up. Be sure that they've all gone in, and they have. Absolutely sure. Absolutely sure. And then fixings, and the only odd thing I found about the fixing on this is there's 3 cap-headed screws, M6 cap-headed screws, and 1 bolt for some reason. No idea why. It's the way it is. What I do with these is a dot of thread lock, not dunking the whole fucking thread in it, folks. Just a dot would do it. And I've cleaned all of these threads up because they had thread lock on them in the past. Right, there's that. There's that. That should go in there now, and it does. And we're almost done with the end block and the one-way valves. Cleanliness is your trick here. So next thing I'm going to do is go through and sort each of the solenoid valves out and the solenoids themselves.